Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host Red. I got a video today from Sarah Dawn Moore, suggested by Lost Boy. You know, he always suggests a lot of videos to me, and I do a good chunk of them actually. And if you guys want to suggest videos to me, you can always just link things down below, and then I'll try my best to get to that video and react to it. But this is 5 reasons why men are going their own way. You've probably seen some of her clips. You know, she's pretty red-pilled. This is just seeing how she goes, and let's see what we can pick at it. So please like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
So you'd kind of have to be living under a rock to not see that there is a little bit of a war between the sexes. Every time I open my phone, there seems to be another video of a woman saying, he didn't deserve you, you know, slay queen, and all of the comments of women agreeing with her. A lot of times what I'm not seeing is the same for men, is the same as a man posting about the demise of his relationship, and then a bunch of women going, oh yeah, you slay king. She definitely did not deserve you. So I think these are some of the reasons why men are frustrated and why they are going their own way. Number 1,
passport bros.
Marriage is not really for men. If you ask probably 90% of men out there if they want to get married right now, they would probably say, why? What's the point? Marriage doesn't...
Damn, she's spot on. That's exactly what most men would actually say, in my opinion. Except for like the more blue-pilled, the more, yeah, everything is rainbows and sunshine kind of guys. Most guys are gonna be like, why? Why would I give up my rights? Why would I give up my children for someone that I might not be able to trust?
Really mean anything else for me. I have the relationship, I get the girl, I get to have sex with the girl, I get to have kids, and I can support her.
Yeah.
But where they see other friends that have made the mistake of getting married, where they've seen half of their life savings washed out, where they are alone without their kids, where custody has been ripped away from them, where they're living in an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment with their 2 kids, trying to make ends meet because they've been kicked out of the house. So I think we have to like take a step back, right? And think to ourselves as women, why is there a benefit for a man to get married? Unless
all women are gonna say, oh, they get a free maid, they get a free blah, blah, fucking blah. That's what they're gonna say. And they're gonna say, oh, you know, marriage men make more money. They are more successful. We're the ones that do it. No, married men are more successful because now they have something to provide for. Now they have something to strive to provide, to protect. So we're gonna strive even harder than we were before. This is just how men work. So
he is extremely religious and or Christian, or believes that, you know, in the sanctity of the family. But I understand when they say it's really hard for them to believe in that when women are filing 80% of the time. Granted, a lot of women file because they need the child support or they need the alimony because they never made as much or they're not making as much. So it's kind of like there's a greater sense of urgency for a woman to file because of finances.
Yep.
But men are like, okay, great, fine. We're just going to take it off the table then. We'll just be common law. We'll just hang out. We'll have a relationship, because if there's no guarantee that that woman is going to stay, then why sacrifice so much? They're hearing it from their friends. They're seeing it on the media. You can't go a day without hearing about this statistic that divorce is happening all around us. Yeah. And furthermore, people are just choosing not to get married. But what if marriage is just an antiquated system? What if it doesn't matter anymore? And what if it was for women all along?
It has been for women all along. It was for their protection. And really, marriage was made to protect the offspring, to provide the best possible life, the best possible outcome for offspring. You know, the way things are going now is exactly what's happened before marriage, where kids are being raised by single mothers. Men are just leaving left and right. Men are doing whatever, and women are doing whatever. The kids are being left behind. This is the sad part about our society.
And now we're just kind of seeing an evolution of that, where men are saying, what's it for anyway? And I don't necessarily disagree with them. If you're making your own money and if you're a woman who's working and helping to support the family, then maybe we need to talk about having separate bank accounts. Maybe we need to talk about a prenup. Maybe we need to really go into this as a business does, as two partners would starting a business. I have partners, I have business, and we signed contracts. We had it all laid out so that if there was a dissolution of the relationship, that we would know exactly what to do. There's no hard feelings. There was no emotion involved. This was about a logical decision and two people coming together to have a goal. And if that goal was not met, or if one party decided that they weren't in that goal, then the contract would be dissolved.
She's speaking pretty like rainbows and sunshine, in my opinion. Women would they don't want to sign a contract. That's not their goal. Their goal is money and resources. So why would they sign a contract to where they can lose all that if they were the bad actors? I think this is where it's a little bit flawed. Not 100% flawed, but we see so many videos, we know so many stories of women refusing to sign prenups. But when it's the shoes on the other foot, and then women want prenups. But when the man is the breadwinner, oh, you don't love me. You have an insurance policy if we break up. Like, it means you're not even fully in, and women don't fully understand what exactly a prenup is. A prenup is just an agreement between the two people of how assets are going to split when divorce happens. Doesn't mean you're not going to get nothing. It just means you won't be able to get certain things that are not on the table. Like someone's businesses that they built to multi-million dollars. You're not allowed to take any of that before they even met you. Just certain things, but you're still going to get paid child support. You're still going to get paid some kind of money in the divorce. You just can't say you're going to get nothing in a divorce. That's like impossible.
And each party would be made whole. So that's my suggestion, is like, if we're going to consider marriage, women, we have to be more logical when we think about this. We have to take emotion out of it.
All right. That's already a fail. Be more logical for women? No. Like, take the emotions out of it? No, that's what 90% of what women is emotions. So if you want to remove that, they're not going to be able to. They've been able to their emotions have been able to run rampant throughout most of their lives. And then when they get married, you got to tell them, put those emotions away. Let's logically think about this contract and, come together and write a nice contract so neither of us get screwed over. I don't see that happening.
And as a woman, like, hello, that might be some near impossible, but I'm a pretty logical woman and I see things clearly, and I've been in the business world. So I have a bit of a greater understanding of how these things should go. It's like, what does love have to do with it? So I think that's one of the reasons why they're going their own way. They just don't see the purpose in it. And with today's women, with what I'm seeing, I'm not quite sure I disagree. If you're going to get married, then you need to have a contractual discussion before. And if the contract does not work, then maybe it's just not a good idea to get married. So the second thing that I hear quite a bit from men, and again, it's very hard for me to disagree with them, what I'm seeing on social media, what I'm seeing from my clients, what they're telling me, what's out there, is the lack of traditional women and women expecting men to be still traditional.
Yeah.
There's certain things that men should be expected to do. I believe that a man should pay for the first date, whether that is coffee, whether that is a bottle of wine. There's so many things that you can do that is not expensive. And if you're more of a traditional man, I truly believe you should be paying for the first date.
I kind of 100% agree with this one. Like, you can go with the 50-50 if you want, like some men do. I know Brian from whatever podcast really pushes that 50-50 thing. But in my opinion, a man should be taking care of at least that first date and that role to be able to, show her that you can provide and that you're willing to. Yes, women take advantage of this. I do know this. And then, it is a lot of resources to put in for a first date for someone to maybe not be a person to even go on a second date with. But you gotta have to kind of have skin in the game. You know, you kind of have to put in some collateral to find someone. Most women, especially if they're traditional, are not going to be happy if you want to do 50-50. So if you do happen to find a traditional woman and you want to go 50-50, you might just ruin those chances. I mean, if you don't care, you don't care. Not saying anything's wrong with it, not saying anything's wrong with 50-50, but in my opinion, just, taking care of that first bill, taking care of like a lot of, things. And she's right. It doesn't have to be expensive. I take girls out for boba. $10, $12, like it's not that bad. And most girls like boba nowadays. Well, at least where I live in Southern California, boba is a big thing. So I mean, coffee, whatever it is, or a light lunch, $20. It doesn't have to be any kind of fancy dinner. So this is where I think a lot of men are like floundering because they're trying to impress women with fancy dinners or fancy whatever it is.
But, should a woman be dating 5 different guys at a time? No. Should a woman be sleeping with 5 guys at a time? No.
Nope.
Should a woman be on OnlyFans? I don't think not my cup of tea.
I would suggest no.
Should a woman string a guy along and just take him for a ride and take him out to, so she can get free dinners? Like, women don't know how to cook. They're not cleaning. I mean, and I'm sorry, but like the domestic duties were traditional women roles. And I understand that we are both working, but there comes a point in time where you have to delineate roles in a household to make it work. There's just certain things that were passed down from female to female. Most females don't even know how to sew a button on a jacket, let alone cook a Thanksgiving meal. So, I get we're all busy. I understand that life is different for our parents, but, there's sayings that have been around for 30 years, right? Like 30 years, more like thousands of years. But, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
100%.
Nobody just made they didn't just make that saying up. It's been around for a long time.
That's what I said.
So it's like women are expecting men to still do these things, but then they're not taking the time to invest in becoming like wifey material. And that's why I think there are older women like myself, other women out there that are realizing that our mothers kind of failed us, that they didn't really teach us because we got caught up in this whole sexual revolution situation. And the women that I see that have done very well with men typically grew up in the South, typically grew up in more traditional families, typically saw their mom being a homemaker, but we have demonized that amongst women in our culture.
We
don't appreciate homemakers. And,
No, we
and I
don't.
will say that feminism has not helped that. I was caught up in that as well. Being a homemaker was looked upon as negatively. And
Slavery. God, I get so many of those comments. And I see so many of those videos, just everybody thinking that it's slavery. Like,
I remember judging my friends for it. I remember looking down at them and saying, oh, like just a housewife? That is such a common group think of women. So until we abolish this, until we accept women for who they are and say it's okay to do this, it's okay to learn.
it's funny because it's not men that's doing this. It's women. Women are really perpetuating this derogatory nature towards, housewives and homemakers, where men are just like praising these women.
Learn how to run a household and have these domestic duties. Men are like, well, okay, why? What's the point? Like, these women, why would I want to be in a relationship with them? I can go on a nap or I can get sex for whatever, and I don't have to be in a relationship, or I have porn, or it's not worth the trouble. I was on a podcast the other day and this came up, and it is the third reason why men are going their own way is because I don't think that women are dating based on potential anymore.
Nope.
all the ladies said that their guy had to make six figures. Like he had this, he had to have that. And I see it. I see it with young women that they think it is kind of funny, the whole delusional calculator. They think that men should be making a certain amount of money.
They do.
Like, and there's no potential for growth. I'll tell you, my godparents have been married for, I think it's going on 55 years. I went to their 50th anniversary a couple of years ago. And she always tells the story. I'm very close with my godparents. They've been a part of my life. My dad died, so they raised me. Basically, my godfather raised me. And my godmother would always tell this cute story about they only had a certain amount of money for food. And she had, baked some chili, burned it to a crisp, and when you like bake chili and it gets really burnt on the bottom, like the flavor of burn like radiates throughout the pot. I've only done it once, but man, like the whole dish is like ruined because it smells like burnt beans. She had like burnt this chili so
I really like her. Like she's definitely telling story from her actual experience and she's not telling a story. She's, sharing a story. I really enjoy how she's going about it. I really enjoy that she's very genuine. It seems genuine to me, at least. You guys, comment down below if you guys feel it's genuine.
so bad. And she was, newly married to my godfather, and he just makes fun of her. They made fun of her this whole time. The 50 years they've been married. He's like, remember when, I brought home my $25 paycheck and you burnt the chili? It's like they were poor and they rose up together.
Yep.
She had a master's, he was a lawyer. They were dirt poor. But at the end, right, they're in their 70s, they live on a golf course, they're in a, part of a country club. Like there is this story of how they supported one another, and she stayed home to raise the kids while he could work on his career. There was like this, it's an amazing story of teamwork.
Yeah.
But I don't think you hear those.
That's my parents, my parents my dad, my family is a decent family from Cambodia, but the Khmer Rouge kind of destroyed our family and our fortune in a sense. So when my aunts came here in the 80s, they had nothing. They built everything up with their husbands all the way until my dad came. And we came in 92. And it was my dad and my mom came with $100. They worked their asses off. We were fortunate enough that my oldest aunt, my dad's oldest sister, and all the other sisters kind of came together because we're like mafia. I talked about this story before, and pooled their resources and helped my dad get a donut shop right away. Like within a year of him being here, he learned how to bake. He was baking all night at all the shops, and then my mom was learning learning English and learning how to like take care of money and taking care of a donut shop. And then when we got the donut shop, they worked it. They worked it 12 plus hours every day, 7 days a week. We had a 24-hour donut shop. Like we didn't close. We never closed from 92 of when we owned it until '05 was when they sold it. They closed for a 1/2 day, and it was for my graduation, my high school graduation. My dad actually closed for half a day, and that was the only time my dad ever closed the shop. And they both worked hard together and became successful and bought a gas station and moved on and did other things. Things happened in between. Mothers passed. My dad remarried. It is what it is. But I saw that struggle that they've done together, and that struggle was instilled into me when I was a kid. This is why I work so hard, and I feel I'm so much different than most Americans.
Stories as much anymore. It's like if you're not making a certain amount, the fact that women are asking men how much they're making on the first date or before they even get together is like such a boundary violation. I couldn't even imagine asking someone what they make on the first date. It is.
Tell that to that chick that wants to see your bank account on your fucking first date. That shit's so ridiculous.
Just unbelievably disrespectful.
Yeah.
So again, men are like, if I'm not going to be able to measure up to her standards and we're just starting to date, like, why would I continue this? Why would I
Yep.
even date in the first place if I know that if I'm making, $60,000 a year, that's not going to be enough for the majority of 80% of women?
Yep.
Our values are just so screwed up, especially in America.
Yep.
Our country is just, we are really struggling in this arena. So the fourth one, and you'll hear kind of this dichotomy where women are longing for men to approach them, are longing for men to come out and approach them at a bar and pick them up. But then you have the Me Too movement. You have SA charges. You have men going, well, I've been humiliated by a woman. I had a client who said he was straight up laughed at, that he was humiliated for walking up to a woman that he didn't know, hitting on her, or she was with a friend group, and they all laughed at him, publicly shamed him because he got rejected. So when that happens one time in a man's life, it could literally scar him for the rest of his time.
Men learn very quickly. Very, very quickly. I've been fortunate enough to not have been rejected or laughed at in public like that. Thank God. But women are ruthless. They feel empowered to make fun of men, to deny men right in front of others. It is just such a cultural thing nowadays for women to want to punish men as much as possible.
And he'll never go up to another woman again. So women, unfortunately, I never really saw it until I was in this space, until I was starting to talk to men more and understand their perspective. And it's like, women can be effing cruel, so mean. And men will just like box you and pound it out and then hug, 5 minutes later. But women, what? Some of the words that they use.
Yeah, men handle it physically. Fight each other, we're done. Women destroy your character. Destroy every fiber of you. That's how women fight. And women are ruthless. And they're so much better at it than men are. Because this is how they were trained. This is how women are wired. Men are not wired this way. We don't denigrate other people's character. We don't attack other men's character. We just attack each other. So when men and women fight, women destroy men majority of the time, just because how women handle these fights
can be brutal. The risk versus the reward at this point doesn't seem to be worth it for men, especially when they don't know if that girl is going to completely turn around the story. And maybe it's somebody at work, maybe it's someone he knows, maybe it's a friend group, maybe it's, someone that he's connected to, or he's walking up to a girl and he has no idea if she is going to throw a tantrum because he said, hello, you look beautiful. How she's going to react is a very different story. So it's sad because some of these women have spoiled it for the majority of women that do want traditional men, that do want men to be more masculine and to approach. And the last one, I think, is dating expenses. The apps were almost a good thing, or the apps were a good thing or a horrendous thing. When you have so many options, when you could be going out on a date as a woman, if you're attractive, 5 times a week. And if you think about a man, and if he goes out and he dates like that, if you're taking a woman out to dinner 3 or 4 times a week, or even twice a week and spending $50 to $100, $400 or $500 a month on dinner dates that don't materialize to anything, where people don't want commitment after the fact, in my opinion, I would say to the guy, if I was his financial advisor, I'd be like, that's a bad investment.
This is what I was talking about earlier. This is why I said I understand the whole 50-50 thing. I get it. This is why I say cheap dates. At least the first date, get to know the person. If they're a good, decent person after the first maybe 3 dates, and then take them to a decent restaurant. Whatever it is. If they're not even willing to go for coffee or boba or, a walk in the park or, whatever it is, fuck them. Fuck them.
You could be buying a couple shares of Tesla every month with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So don't do it, I personally, as a dating coach, I suggest never to go out to dinner on the first date. I always suggest coffee, or I always suggest something light,
Oh, I didn't realize that she was a dating coach.
something cheap, so that until they know that the woman is truly invested in them, until date like 3 or 4, where they have some momentum and they know that the girl's not just using them or going to ghost them.
I agree.
That's just the reality of the marketplace right now. As women, we have
Shit, am I a dating coach? I agree with a lot of what she says, and I agree with that particular one. So,
to understand that there have been other women that have screwed us royally and have ruined a lot of men. So if you're a woman and you're expecting dinner on the first date, and fine, if you're a 10 and that's the time that guy, that's the type of guy that you're going after, great, more power to you. But a lot of us, just like normal, nice women, are fine with coffee, or at least we need to be fine with coffee, because again, cities are incredibly expensive to live in. The interest rates are out of control. Inflation is gratefully coming down, but still, like, everybody is struggling to live in their means. And if you're talking about investing, if you're talking about saving, like, everyone's living paycheck to paycheck. So to expect a man to just dish out money like it's going out of style, unrealistic. Okay. So, look, as a female, you got to have some empathy. You have to put yourself in a man's shoes, and women are learning, as you can see, that if they don't, they're going to be alone. And they're going to be with their cats, and they've accepted that. And some women don't. Some women are going their own way too. But
yeah.
if you want to have a relationship, we are going to have to bring some empathy to the sexes and to understand what men are going through.
I 100% agree, and I think some men do have to try to understand what women are going through too. I'm actually pretty good at understanding the women's side of things. This is why I don't really punish women too greatly, because they were raised this way. If you were raised that everything was handed to you and then you have the abilities to do all these things by just asking, men would do it too. This is just human nature, like the path of least resistance, right? It's just that men can't do this. So this is why men are a little bit like, man, like this kind of is unfair. But if men were able to do this, we would take advantage of it just the same way as women would. I'm almost positive on this.
And women, I know if you're watching my channel, there's about 20% of you. I see you. If you don't
Oh, damn, 20% is pretty good. Mine is like 4%.
understand a man's struggle in this dating world, in this dating life, then you're going to be single. So we need to have some empathy. And men, I hope you feel validated, because I do understand what you're going through. And I understand, after talking to the hundreds of men that I've talked to, why you feel the way that you feel. So be picky. Understand what you're getting into. Be very transparent with what you're looking for. Have these hard conversations, and don't expect any less, or don't accept any less. We have to have empathy and understanding for one another when it comes to this. So, ladies, if you want to be in a relationship, go out to coffee for the first date and be happy, because that man is working really hard. Just know, if a woman comes to you and she is complaining that you're not taking her to a 5-star dinner, or if she's giving you options or picking the most expensive thing on the menu,
Next.
or acting like a princess, I don't care how good looking she is. I don't care how much you want to go out with her. It's not worth it.
Nope.
Save your peace, save your happiness, take inventory of the woman that you are choosing, get back out there. And there are women out there that do have empathy and understanding for you, but you just gotta screen for them. They're unicorns with red backgrounds. No, I'm just kidding. But they are out there. I understand where you're coming from. And we have to look at dating a little bit differently nowadays. Having empathy and understanding for one another is the only way that we're going to heal this. If you found this helpful, subscribe to my channel.
No, that was actually a good chow. I'm not a big fan of women dating coaches and just women in this space in general. But her takes are pretty genuine. She does seem to speak with a lot of men and work with a lot of men in this way. So they're actually almost all her takes I kind of 100% agree with, and just how she explained everything. And women do need to be okay with mediocrity, at least in the beginning. Like, there's no way that a man can woo or wow you every single goddamn time you go out. It's just impossible. And men shouldn't be doing that every goddamn time you go out. That's ridiculous. Like, just screen, man. You really got to put in the work if you want to build a date and find a good woman here. If not, then get the fuck out. Get your passports, and travel to another country. You think about it, the resources of dating here, for a few months would probably equal to a plane ticket to Philippines. So if you saved up that and didn't date here, you just have a better chance to be able to travel more and save more money. So please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.